What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are going to be ranking the X-Men movies. We didn't get a new X-Men movie announced at San Diego Comic-Con. There might be some rights issues and some contractual obligations that are preventing Marvel Studios from doing that. But since we know the X-Men are in the MCU's future, we're going to talk about the X-Men movies. Pat, how are you today?
I'm great, Alex. How's it going?
Good. This is one of your favorite series. I know you and your brother used to watch all these movies together all the time.
Yeah, my brother and I are huge X-Men fans in general ever since. I grew up with the 90s show with
Mhm.
Evolution in the early 2000s. I read the comics back in the 90s, then they became amazing again a couple years ago. Yeah, huge X-Men fan. The movies are very different from the comics, but I have a lot of love for them and a lot of nostalgia, a
Also,
lot
a
of
lot of hate
anger,
too.
a lot of anger sometimes. So we'll talk about it.
Yeah. Yep. All right. I'm curious to see what your list is going to be. How different our lists are going to be. We are also going to include the two Deadpool movies because it is part of the Fox series. I feel like
But the Wolverine movies as well, yes.
the Wolverine movies. Yep. And also, when Deadpool 3 comes out, would we include it in this list?
I don't know.
'Cause I feel like I would put it with this list just because the first two are here.
Yeah.
And it would be weird, because it's like Deadpool is going to be part of the MCU.
Yeah, I feel like Deadpool is gonna walk like that line between it'll probably be both the MCU and Sony. I mean not Sony, Fox.
Fox.
Yeah.
Oh, Sony's like, we're going to give you an El Muerto movie.
Yeah, yeah. Here's Morbius 2.
Oh God, could you imagine?
Yeah,
All right, so you got your list pulled up.
I do.
All right,
I surprised myself a couple times with this list.
I think I did too. Honestly, I think our top five might be the same. Just might shift it around a little bit.
I feel like our bottom four will probably be the same, but definitely not the same order, I don't think.
Okay, so let's just get right into it. There's 13 of these.
Yep.
What do you have at 13?
This might be controversial because I know some people are okay with this movie. I'm not. X-Men: The Last Stand. Go
Okay.
fuck yourself, Brett Ratner.
Yeah, you hate this movie. I mean, I
I
do
hate-
too. I do too. But there's one movie I hate more than this movie, and that is X-Men Origins Wolverine.
That's my number 12.
Yeah, that's my 13.
Okay.
I was like, I get there were things because there's more things for me in The Last Stand to like. Like I like Angel. He should have been in the movie more, but I like Angel. I like some of the action in the movie. I applaud them for trying the Dark Knight story, but it sucked. Um, and at least you have Hugh Jackman in this movie, and some of the other acts. Like I like the Pyro and Iceman rivalry in this.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
as wasted as it is, but
That's the thing. It's like for me, I think X-Men Origins Wolverine is an objectively worse movie, but I don't hate it as much because it didn't have so much unused
yeah,
potential.
there wasn't a lot riding on it.
No, like X-Men Last Stand was hype. I was hyped for like 3 months before that movie. I was like, this is gonna be amazing. The trailer is amazing and cheesy and amazing.
Yeah, dude, no Bryan Singer directing. Instead, you
No
got
Brad Pitt.
you have one asshole that left, and then you have an even bigger asshole that came in.
Yeah,
and was like, I'm just gonna combine what they're gonna do for X3 and X4 into 1 hour and a half movie.
that's the thing too. It's like you have this huge cast of characters. You're supposed to be resolving plot lines, and instead they do an hour and a half where everyone feels like they're written out of character. Wolverine's giving like
Battle
general
speeches.
speeches. Yeah, and like
The leader.
yeah, I mean, if you want to make Storm the leader, that's fine. But the Storm in the movies was never handled well, so it
Right.
doesn't feel right.
The biggest offense, the biggest crime against cinema this movie committed was killing Cyclops.
They killed Cyclops off screen like 10 minutes into the movie.
I'm
I'm
like,
like, are
poor
you
James Marsden,
are
man.
you freaking serious?
And then Brett Ratner's defense was, well, that's just the Cyclops fans being
But-
pissed.
Cyclops, except for like X-Men 1 and then later in like Apocalypse, Cyclops always got gypped in these movies.
Yeah.
Like they always just had to be the lame guy that Wolverine just can look cool beside. And I'm like, that's not who Scott Summers is. He's like so much more like complicated than that, but okay.
Yeah. That's my number 12. I want to talk about my number 13 because it's X-Men Origins Wolverine. Why wasn't this movie the opening credits?
The opening credits are amazing.
That would have been amazing. That's the movie I wanted from this movie.
Yeah.
Instead, we get some. Oh, my girlfriend is like something with like the moon, or I don't
Cuckoo got screwed, Alex. Cuckoo got screwed.
yeah. And then like he's going through the like at the end, like opening the cages for all like the mutants. He's like ah, and then like the whole Weapon X thing in this movie was done so wrong. They did Deadpool so wrong in this movie. It's not even Ryan Reynolds at the end. It's a
Well,
different actor.
it's funny because like at the time when this came out and like that Deadpool happened, I was like, okay, for the first 5 minutes where it's Ryan Reynolds with the swords, like I could see him eventually becoming like the
Yeah.
Deadpool I know. But
Yeah.
when you see the end and he's like Weapon 11, I'm like, that's just so fundamentally wrong. And like the problem was us comic fans were like super pissed, and we were explaining to people like that's not who Deadpool is.
Yeah, they
But
don't sew his mouth shut.
people didn't fully understand that anger, like the general audience didn't until Deadpool came out. Then they went, "Whoa, yeah, what the hell was that thing back there?"
Exactly. And then it's like, and then it's just like they had the gall. They had the gall for a post-credit scene to tease that Weapon 11 was still alive. I'm
Yeah,
like,
but that was just one of three like
oh,
post-credit
dude,
scenes,
yeah.
none of which made
Wasn't it like,
sense.
didn't it depend on what screening you went?
Yes,
You got a different.
yes. In one, there was one where it was
Blu-ray is the one where he's still alive.
yeah. There's the Weapon 11 one where he's like shh to the audience, which is stupid, and then there's one where Stryker is like caught by the police, where he's like walking on the street, and then there's one where Wolverine's at a bar in like Japan, supposedly setting up the Wolverine. I'm like, bullshit. Or maybe was it a bar in Japan? I think it was a bar. It was either a bar in Japan. Yeah, it was a bar in Japan. I'm thinking of a post-credit scene that didn't happen for Last Stand, which set up this supposedly.
Well, wasn't the post-credit scene for The Last Stand like Professor X's twin brother or something?
Moira. Fucking dude. I
Laugh
hate
like an idiot throughout this whole like these like bottom three. I'm just gonna laugh like an idiot
The
probably.
Last Stand was like the most disappointing movie I think I've ever seen. And then
More disappointing.
X-Men Origins Wolverine. Wait, what?
More disappointing than Spider-Man 3.
Yes, yeah. Spider-Man 3 I don't like very much. I have a lot of problems with it. But at least
has merit.
it felt like the same series.
Yeah, true.
X-Men The Last Stand had a completely different feel than the
Yeah.
first two.
Yeah.
Um,
But I
Yeah.
will admit, those are our bottom two. They're just reversed for us.
yeah,
What
it's,
were you gonna
it's
say?
tough.
Yeah.
'Cause Origins is awful. Like,
I think
Wolverine-
Origins. I think the reason I put Origins below it is just because of like the stupid decisions. Like obviously, The Last Stand makes stupid decisions too, but I think there's more stupid decisions in X-Men Origins Wolverine, and it's just a poorly made movie. Like when he's in the old people's house and he's like,
You mean Jonathan and Martha Kent?
yeah, discount Jonathan and Martha Kent, and he just whips out like this. It's right when he escapes Weapon X, and he just whips out his adamantium blades. He's like playing them together. I'm like, that is like the most obvious CGI ever.
It looks like a Snapchat filter.
It
It's
does,
really bad.
doesn't it? For 2009, it does, doesn't it? Because like that's when CGI was starting to like come to a head too. That's when CGI was starting to get really good, and then it's just
Yeah.
like, and he's just breaking shit. It's
Yeah.
like, I'll pay for it. Don't worry. They're like, wouldn't you be like, what the fuck are you doing to my bathroom?
This movie came out the same year as Avatar.
Yeah. That's something to think about. Yeah.
But,
Like,
like,
well, dude, I've always actually going back to discount Jonathan and Martha Kent for a minute. I've always thought it was funny that they were introduced into the movie, and then 5 minutes later, the movie's like, "Yeah, gangs."
yeah, just shot. But what I
like for
also
shock value.
what I hated about Origins was it's supposed to be an origin story for Wolverine. I'm supposed to feel like Wolverine goes on a journey and
Right.
becomes the guy that we know. But
Right.
like, and even in the like X2 was a better Origins Wolverine movie.
It's crazy.
And they
Yeah.
barely tell you anything, but they tell you just enough.
Well, which is crazy because the flashbacks in X-Men 2, like you see him, like you see like the aftermath of him escaping like the Weapon X facility, and he's like crying. There's like blood coming out of his blades.
Yeah,
And, like,
it's
when,
way more
when he
horrifying.
first gets them in X-Men Origins Wolverine, he's just like, ah! It's like nothing phases the guy in this movie.
What I hate the most is that X2 sets it up where there's the idea that Logan, whoever he really was before doesn't remember,
Yeah,
was a bad person.
yeah.
Like they make it seem like he was a bad person and that he got this procedure and now he just doesn't know who he is. There's no conflict there. The Wolverine in this movie is like a hero already. He's like saving people.
I
He's
honestly,
like a good dude.
I
Like he's
honestly,
supposed to be an asshole.
I honestly thought that when you said the thing I hate about most about this movie, I honestly thought you were going to say Danny Houston.
I fucking hate it.
But
Like
no,
I
that
hate it. He's a
yeah.
terrible striker.
That
He's
is that,
terrible.
but what you said, yeah, that is a good point because, like, I mean, even like as good as the opening credits are, it's just like, yeah, he's fighting in the Civil War, like he's fighting in Vietnam, like he is like kind of like a war hero, you know?
Even besides being a warrior, like his personality is
Yeah,
he's like the good guy. He's
yeah.
like I'm gonna
The
go
only
like
the only time you kind of like really see him be an asshole is when they're stopped on the bridge and he's trying to get that guy to like move. That's it.
yeah,
That's like it.
yeah.
That's it. That's it.
But
That's
yeah.
it.
Then they throw Gambit into Wolverine's origin, which I'm like, Gambit should be here. What are we doing? Just because we did use him in the first 3 X-Men movies, which is dumb that we didn't use him. But just because he's like a leftover doesn't mean you have to throw him in this movie.
Yeah, Taylor Kitsch. Oof.
And Liev Schreiber's great as Sabretooth. That's like the one positive.
Yeah. Well, and Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman did what he could with the material he was given.
Yeah, but even he hates this movie because he
Yeah, I
knows
know.
he should have been the focus. There should have been 12 other mutants.
Dude, it
This
shouldn't
isn't
have,
an
it
X-Men
shouldn't have
movie.
felt like an X-Men light spinoff.
Yeah, like you had Will.i.am, you had like, Dominic Monaghan. Like,
Did you just call me Blob?
yeah, Blob was in there. I'm like, what are we doing? Why are there all these random people?
Dominic Monaghan?
Cyclops is in this movie.
I
Like,
know. Dude,
Cyclops?
what is Professor X doing in this movie?
I hate it.
Oh my god!
It should have been dark. It should have been brutal, just like the
It
video
should have
game.
been rated R like Logan.
The video game of this movie is amazing.
Oh, it's amazing. I love the video game. If I could go back and play it right now, I would because it's amazing. Remember when I brought it over to your house and you're like, I don't know about this. And then like you saw the opening cutscene, you're like, this is fucking amazing.
Yeah, you brought the game over. I'm like, I hate that movie. I don't want to play the game.
And then like the opening cutscene is just him stabbing somebody in the head and like blood just coming out. You're like, holy shit.
Yeah, these are definitely the bottom 2.
Yeah. So we covered the bottom 2 for sure. What's your 11?
My 11 is Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, mine too. I will say this. I love the first half hour of this movie, and then it just tanks.
Yeah, it's a weird movie. It feels like obviously the director was like a first-time director.
Yeah, Simon Kinberg. I don't know why they did that though.
Well,
he wrote Days of Future Past. He was a co-writer on First Class. Like he was a co-writer on the first 3 as well. It's like he can write, I guess.
Well, people said that he was kind of like a ghost director for most of Apocalypse when Bryan Singer wouldn't show up to set.
Yeah.
So I think he earned a lot of trust then because.
Well, I remember the reports from the cast when they were doing Dark Phoenix were like, yeah, it's a lot more chill.
Yeah, they liked working with him.
Yeah.
So, I get that, but the movie itself feels so like
it's two different movies, dude.
Yeah, they take weird directions with it.
That's the thing because it's like they had to do like reshoots because I think originally they had the scrolls in here.
Yeah, and you could tell because these other guys were like discount scrolls.
Yeah, like whatever Jessica Chastain is in this movie, I'm like, yeah, completely different movie. Don't need it in here.
She's one of the worst comic book villains.
Yes,
I think I've ever seen.
For sure.
Like, there's nothing to
which is crazy because I love her. I think she's a great actress. But like some of the roles that she takes on, I'm like, are you sure this was a good idea? And like, dude, and like I said, like it's 2 different movies, but at the same, like. This movie really struggles with trying to adapt the Dark Phoenix saga again, and then mixing that with the Jessica Chastain stuff, and then the whole end action scene on that whole end action scene on the train. Like, it's a good action scene, but it's so out of place, dude. Like, that's what I mean. It's a completely different movie.
Magneto kicks ass that final fight. That's all I care about.
Yeah, I mean that's all we really
squashes that dude.
That's all we really care about with these movies. Like everybody's like, yeah, why haven't they aged like 40 years in like the first
Seriously though, like this movie takes place in like the early 90s, and I'm like, Jesus, you turned into Ian McKellen by 1999. Like, holy shit! Like
That's
you could
what,
at least start to turn Fassbender's hair gray or something. But they
yeah,
don't even
like or
do
like give
that.
him the gray beard or something.
Yeah, just something. Make him look a
But
little
honestly,
older.
dude, that was a problem I had with the movie. Like, there wasn't enough Magneto in this movie.
No, it feels like halfway through the movie they're like, "This isn't working. Put Magneto in. He can save
Yeah, we just need Magneto on like this like island sanctuary somewhere.
Genosha, man. I fucking
Yeah.
Genosha." But yeah, it feels like Michael Fassbender is trying desperately to save this movie. Like his
Him and
performance.
McAvoy. Him and
Yeah, him
McAvoy.
and McAvoy. When McAvoy's being forced to go up the stairs, I'm like, ow, ow! Like, that was so bad. Gene, stop, Gene.
Sophie Turner tries her best to save this movie too.
Listen, what I'll say about this movie is at least, unlike The Last Stand, they try to focus on Gene.
Yeah.
They try to focus on Gene, which I'm like, okay, but then you also have to kill
Jennifer Lawrence.
Jennifer Lawrence. I almost called her Jennifer Hudson, and I'm like, I know that's not right. I you had to deal with all that, and Mystique in these movies was kind of like, but yeah, it's a mess of a movie. It feels small.
Yeah, it does. It really does. Like, I mean, especially when you look at like it's under 2 hours. Like, especially when Apocalypse was pushing 2.5. Days of Future Past was 210. Like, it had a lot going on in Days of Future Past.
Both of those movies feel big.
Yeah,
and this feels very small.
Yeah, it's very small scale. It's just crazy how it's like, yeah, we're gonna do the Dark Phoenix saga again, and then they fucked it up again.
Yeah.
Like I said, the first half hour I think is good. Like all like finding like going into space, finding the flare, and then her absorbing that flare. I'm like, okay, like I'm digging this right now. It's when they get back to the school where I'm like, goes downhill. Starting at that very moment.
I look back at Dark Phoenix and just nothing really stands out, which is unfortunate.
No, I don't think it's like a trash movie like many people make it out to be.
It's just very forgettable.
It's just very forgettable. Yes. What's your number 10?
The New Mutants.
Me too. Yeah.
Which I actually liked it more than I thought I was going to.
I did too, honestly.
People were acting like it was going to be like the worst film of all time. It got delayed
because it kept getting delayed like 900 times.
But yeah, people were acting like it was like the worst thing ever, and I'm like, it wasn't great.
No,
I had fun.
It was kind of fun.
Yeah, I think it had a great cast of like young actors, a lot of young talented people. They turned Ileana into a racist, which I don't think.
Who was that? Was that Anya Taylor-Joy?
Yeah. Which I don't think was the right call because Magic is she's an awesome character.
Yeah.
And to just have her calling Danny Pocahontas, I'm like, wow, holy shit, no. So that was a bad call. They kind of whitewashed Sunspot, which I'm also not really about.
Yeah. I don't have much to say about this movie.
That's the thing.
It's like Dark Phoenix. Like I don't really remember it.
Yeah,
I just know it was like short. Like I know it's like something in like I don't know if it's an insane asylum.
It's like a medical facility.
Yeah, that's
kind of insane. But I mean, the one thing I really like about it is it tried to push kind of more of like a horror vibe.
Yeah.
I liked because that was very much what the early Chris Claremont stuff was in New Mutants. So I appreciated that. This is once again another movie that sets up my boy Mr. Sinister, and we never freaking got.
Which one? What was the other one that set up Mr. Sinister?
So there was a post-credit scene at the end of Apocalypse where they're like Essex Corp, and I'm like, oh shit, we're gonna get Mr. Sinister.
Yeah, I think that was what I was thinking of because wasn't there one at the end of the Wolverine 2 that like set up somebody too? I think I got them mixed up.
I think that I actually don't remember the post credit. No, the post credit scene of Wolverine set up Days of Future Past.
That was it. Yeah.
But yeah, so they kept, and then Deadpool 2 had the Essex house or whatever. So I'm like, let's stop dancing around, my boy, Mr. Sinister. Let's just do it, and they did it.
He would have been a great villain, Mr. Sinister. Who knows?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I don't have much to say. I don't really remember this movie. I saw it once in theaters. Saw it once on like Hulu, and then I think I fell asleep. I was like, yeah, I don't need to go back and finish it, So, number 9.
This might surprise you, Alex. X-Men.
The original one?
the original X-Men.
Really?
Listen, I have such fond memories of the original X-Men. It's super nostalgic. I saw it like 5 times in theaters when I was like 5 years old. I I loved it. I loved Toad because he was badass. like,
Ray
uh,
Park, because it was Darth Maul, right?
yeah, I mean, the movie does a great job of like introducing general audiences to like the concept of X-Men. Like, here's a school, here's what we do, here's who we are, here's the bad guys. Like, it does a great job of all that. So I appreciate that. The problem I have with X-Men is that it's short and it feels like a TV pilot, where it feels like it's setting up like a TV show.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and the effects aren't great. It feels kind of cheap.
It's
Um,
dated. Yeah, it's very dated. I
very dated.
noticed that last time I watched it. Yeah.
The last time I watched it, I literally was thinking this feels like a TV pilot from like 2002.
Yeah. Could you imagine though if this movie had Dougray Scott as Wolverine instead of Hugh Jackman?
I don't want to think about that. I saw Mission Impossible too. I don't
I
want
know, right? Exactly. My number eight, or no, we're on number nine. My number nine is the Wolverine.
That's my number 8.
Yeah. But yeah, the Wolverine for me. Good movie. I think it was a smart idea to make it a sequel to X-Men: The Last Stand. Be like, yep, like we're kind of dealing with like Wolverine's feelings towards losing Jean Grey. I was like, why didn't we focus more on their relationship in X-Men 3? But whatever. I like the Japan setting. I like a lot of the action in this movie. I think James Mangold's a way better director than whoever directed X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Gavin Hood. You never heard of him?
Yeah, I have now. Yeah, I love the action scene on like the train and like when he gets shot at the funeral, like that.
Yeah,
that whole
bullet Train before Bullet Train.
yeah, yep. I love the character of Yukio.
Yep.
She's great. I love that like premonition that she has too. That kind of comes back around in Logan, where it's like, yeah, I saw you die. Like,
With your heart in your hands.
yes, yeah. Like I like how Logan tied that in. It's a very character driven movie up until the last 20 minutes. The
Yeah.
last 20 minutes it just becomes this like insane Transformers movie and the plot becomes stupid at that point. It's just like, you saved me in World War II, I want your powers, give me your adamantium metal. Ah!
Yeah, the Wolverine, I think when I watched it last time, the cinematography,
Oh, it's
especially
amazing.
early up, it's so gorgeous.
Dude,
It's like, damn,
Mangold knows how to like craft a shot, which is why I'm
beautiful.
skeptical, but I'm also excited for Indy 5.
Yeah. It was very like beautiful. I like that it focused more on Wolverine, like the origin should have.
Yeah.
Um, I just felt like he was the only mutant besides Viper, so like that was cool.
Yeah. The focus was on him.
Yeah, it was just a nice change of pace. It felt different. It felt fresh. I don't know. I really liked the Wolverine, but like you said, towards the end, it turns into kind of just generic.
Yeah. Once you get to the Silver Samurai, I'm just like, yeah, can do without all this.
Yeah.
Like, it should have just been Wolverine versus Viper or something. I don't know.
Yeah, or Wolverine versus ninjas. Like that's fine. We don't
Yeah,
need
amazing. Like when he's going through the village and they're all shooting their arrows in him, that would have been amazing. That was the end. I wouldn't have cared. That was amazing.
Yeah, I dig it.
I also love too how it kind of touches on like his like degenerating health, and then that comes back up in not Wolverine, Logan. So yep. Yeah, you said what was your number 8? Wolverine.
Yep.
Okay, my number 8 is, this might shock you, Apocalypse.
That's my number 7.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Apocalypse. Underrated. Very, very underrated. Yeah. It's a mess.
It's got flaws, but it's
a mess.
It's way better than people give it
Yeah,
credit.
it's so much better. Like the first 30 minutes, I think, are kind of choppy. Like you're trying to learn about Apocalypse and like the background of Apocalypse, because they're trying so hard to like set up Apocalypse as like this big bad who's got to like cleanse the world or something, you know. But once Apocalypse like starts his mission to get the 4 Horsemen, it becomes a really entertaining X-Men movie. It's a lot more action-packed than previous X-Men movies, which I think the whole thing was, we're going bigger, not necessarily better, but we're going bigger.
Yeah, definitely bigger.
Like, I mean, I can live with that as long as it's entertaining. And Apocalypse entertained me. I like Oscar Isaac a lot as Apocalypse. I don't get the argument where people are like, why isn't he like 800 feet tall?
I mean, he definitely doesn't really look like he does in the comics, but I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, I feel
Yeah,
like
you don't have to look exactly like you do in the comic.
people got spoiled by Thanos because he literally looks like he walked right off the comic book
Yeah,
page.
he's a purple grape.
Yeah, and like Apocalypse, yeah, you could have gone the Thanos route and had like a 9 foot tall dude
But
who looks like
yeah,
the comics.
when you're like when you're doing like conceptual designs like that and like storyboarding, like you have to look at it and be like, does this really translate
Right.
from page to screen? You know, Thanos probably did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I feel like you could have gone that way, but I don't hold it against them.
Yeah,
That
could you imagine if Apocalypse in this movie just had like the utility belt that had the A on it?
yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I like the first like hour of the movie a lot, where it's essentially Xavier and Apocalypse both recruiting.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like you see Jean, you see Scott, you see like it's like you're getting towards like the '90s, so we're seeing
Right.
more characters we know. That's fun. Like the '80s vibes, fun.
Yeah.
Finally seeing Archangel, even though he's once again underused,
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yep.
Psylocke, Olivia Munn looks just like her, but her acting is
No, she's not a good actress at all. I did like how Storm was like a villain in this, and
yeah,
then
that was an interesting.
yeah, that was an interesting choice for sure.
I feel like Alexandra Shipp, like
She got shafted.
she could have been like a phenomenal Storm,
Oh,
and
yeah.
instead the movie's barely used.
I'm like, okay, I'm like, if there's one thing I want to carry over from the Fox series to the MCU, Alexandra Shipp as Storm.
Maybe.
Yeah, but it won't happen. I know it won't happen.
I just hope they make Storm. Like, I'm sure they will. MCU needs to take Storm and make her like amazing. Because in the comics, she's great. Like she is a very strong character.
Yeah.
So, but
at least Alexandra Shipp could carry the accent, unlike Halle Berry.
Yeah, the movies never did her justice.
Yeah. I like the darker tone this movie takes on too. Like that scene in like Egypt where all of a sudden you just see like Apocalypse like decapitating people in the background. I'm like, whoa! I remember sitting in the theater. I was like, whoa! This is an X-Men movie.
Yeah.
I do think where the movie falters, you don't need Moira McTaggart in this movie. Jennifer Lawrence is phoning it in big time. Yeah, because she was sick of it at this point. Like you could tell too, because she's like, I don't want to wear the blue body paint, and so we're not gonna have Mystique in the movie. She's just gonna be Raven.
Yeah, when they should have killed her when Apocalypse has her.
Yeah, they shouldn't have waited until Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, if you had done it then, it would have hit harder, and it would have given Magneto more organic reason to turn on Apocalypse.
Yeah, but this movie also has probably the best Magneto scene of all time.
Oh, in the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes!
Nina, no, please, please, please.
Ale coś ty zrobi?
Oh, my baby. Oh.
That's probably my favorite Magneto scene ever. And Fassbender just plays it so well. And like the end of this movie too, with
is this what you want from me? This is all I have.
Yeah. Yeah, like I love that he has to live off the grid because he's like paying for like his crimes that he committed in 1973. So it's like I gotta go into hiding, and here's my.
He works at a metal foundry, so it's like if someone comes for me, I have so much metal I can kill them.
Yeah. Which probably wasn't the best idea for it. But no, I also love the conflict in the third act where Apocalypse is in Charles's head. Like I seen that get a lot of flack too. I'm like, why? That's
Yeah,
like one of the most creative like
that's
final battles ever.
that's what it should be like. And Professor X did that kind of shit all the time in the comics.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
like that scene gives me chills because the moment where he's
Get
crawling
out of my head!
and then Gene walks up and he's just like, release your power. Like I get chills, man.
Yeah.
I was like, Phoenix, but then Dark Phoenix does acts like that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I'm like, are we gonna talk about the fact she exploded into Phoenix in Cairo? Like, are we gonna talk about that? But
I don't think so.
no,
I don't think we did.
no. The movie, I do like that it, introduces some characters we know but younger, and I think the cast, like, I think Ty Sheridan's a fine Cyclops. I think Sophie Turner's a fine Jean Grey. Like,
Yeah.
uh,
Another great Quicksilver scene.
the best Quicksilver scene, probably. Like, amazing.
Yeah, like you didn't think they could top it from Days of Future Past, but they topped it here.
Yeah, it's an overhated movie. I don't think it's amazing, but I think it
No.
gets way too much hate.
Yeah, I think people were just like much of the criticism surrounding this movie from critics I've seen is that it's like, oh, it's much of the same thing, where it's like they're beating the same themes over the head that we've seen for the past 10 years or so. You know, I'm like, yeah, but that's always what these X-Men movies were to me anyways.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're gonna do that, and yeah, sure, it doesn't feel fresh anymore, but if the rest of the movie surrounding it still is like good, then I'm fine with it. Yeah. All right. So, where are we at?
I just did you did your 8, I did my 7, I think.
Yeah. So your 7 was Apocalypse. Okay. My 7, Deadpool 2.
Okay, that's my 6.
Deadpool 2. It's a good sequel. Definitely doesn't top the first one. I hate the kid in this movie.
How dare you?
I hate it. He's so annoying. That is the bad guy from Christmas Chronicles 2. I hate him. He's annoying. I hate how he was on Team Godzilla. Get off my team.
Yeah, Deadpool 2's fun. It's got a lot of, like, the X-Force scene is hilarious.
Love Cable.
They finally did justice to Juggernaut, so
I know.
But it's a fun time. It didn't really hit me the same way the first.
I think the problem was that like there were more serious beats in this than I was expecting. Like his girlfriend dying and stuff like that. I was like, because I feel like every scene in the first one was like a joke, but like great jokes. And in this one, it was just okay, jokes, serious moments, jokes, serious moments, joke. Okay, here's like 900 serious moments. I'm like, I feel like this isn't really like with Deadpool. Like, I feel like he wasn't really breaking the fourth wall as much in this one as opposed to the first one. They didn't feel as fresh as the first one. You know, I love Cable. I love Josh Brolin as Cable. I love the banter between them, how he can just make fun of Cable and be like, zip it, Thanos! Yeah, that was all good. I don't really buy Deadpool or Wade Wilson's like internal struggle in this, other than trying to get back to Vanessa. Like him having to grapple with the role of being an X-Men. I'm like, didn't really work for me. Yeah. That was what was your 7 then? Apocalypse?
Yep, my 7 was Apocalypse, 6 Deadpool 2.
Okay, my 6 is the original X-Men.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely dated. But still, like the story captivates me. Like I still love watching how we get to the school. The introduction to Wolverine is amazing.
What do they call you? Wheels? Like,
Jesus Christ. Imagine going up to Stephen Hawking and saying,
yeah, Jesus, like, tone it down, though. Good God.
Just getting to know all the characters in this, it's definitely a more grounded movie that has a lot of political undertones.
It is, until you get to the device on top of the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah. That's when it gets a little ridiculous. Wait, how do I know it's you? You're a dick. Yeah.
Oh no, my favorite line. Where Cyclops is like, Storm, fry him. And then Magneto goes, oh yes, shoot a bolt of lightning into a metal conductor. I thought you people lived at a school. Ian McKellen, man.
I do. That's the thing. Like Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen, Patrick Stewart may have been born to play Picard on Star Trek. Ian McKellen may have been born to play Gandalf, but they were more born to play these characters.
They're great. Yeah.
Yeah, I love, like, they're single-handedly like why this movie's up high for me. Yeah, I get it. It feels a little TV-ish and dated, but I don't know. I've always given this movie the benefit of a doubt because I don't think it gets the credit it deserves for starting like the comic book craze.
That's very fair. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I know Blade came out in '98.
Yeah, but Blade didn't really start.
I know, exactly. Like X-Men was like legit, like the first series that we had. Everybody's like Spider-Man trilogy. I'm like, no, original X-Men's right there. So yeah, so that's why I put it up a little bit higher. It doesn't get the credit it deserves.
Yep.
Okay, what's your number 5? This is gonna be hard. These top
Deadpool 1.
Deadpool 1. Okay, that's my number 4.
I think it's a funny movie. I think it has a lot of heart. I think it's surprisingly a very romantic movie, which I like.
Yeah, it's a perfect Valentine's Day movie.
Yeah, it's just a good movie, and it really showed people who Deadpool is.
Yeah, the one thing about this movie I don't like anymore is Gina Carano's in it. But yeah, that's my number 4. My number 5 is X-Men First Class.
Okay. Yep.
Is that your number 4?
No.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, First Class is amazing. For a movie that we all thought was gonna suck, it's actually amazing. Yeah. Kevin Bacon is one of the best X-Men villains ever put on screen.
Yep.
Just shooting coins through people's heads. Moira McTaggart has a lot more to do in this movie, and she's actually relevant to the yeah, I just love seeing the origins in like the 60s, because I think when this first came out, we were all like, an X-Men prequel, we don't need that. We just got a terrible one in X-Men Origins Wolverine. Yeah. So it's just like, yep, just surprisingly good. And Matthew, I don't think anybody really expected Matthew Vaughn to make a movie like this.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you look at his work, like he's kind of like following in the footsteps of Guy Ritchie. Like he makes crazy shit like Kick-Ass and Kingsman, and I mean he did the Layer Cake movie with Daniel Craig. But like at the same time, it's like he's never really handled a big budget blockbuster, and he's proven, unlike Guy Ritchie, that he could probably handle them more. Yeah, it was just the biggest surprise and a big breath of fresh air, and just seeing how the X-Men came together. The action's awesome. Like the ending on the beach is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And how it's set during the Cuban Missile Crisis, like it just brings that the political stuff back into the forefront.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, without beating you over the head. And you have what's his name? That's always the army general, Lois Lane's dad.
Oh, Michael Ironside. Yeah.
Yeah, he's amazing.
And the bad guy from Home Alone 3 is the Russian general.
Yes.
Mr. Jernigan.
What's your number 4?
Alex, you're gonna kill me.
Why?
It's Logan. Listen, Logan is probably the best film of all these. I'll say that. It's beautiful. It's amazing. It's a masterpiece, pretty much. One of the best comic book films of all time. As a personal favorite, though, it's number 4. Like on my favorite.
Is
list.
it just because it's so like dreary and dreadful?
It's so sad. I can only watch it like once every 3 years. Like it's so good. Hugh Jackman's fucking amazing in it. The girl's amazing. Everyone's amazing. It's great. But yeah.
Remember when I thought the main Reaver guy, Donald Pierce, was Tom Felton?
Yeah. Yeah, just on a list of X-Men films, I have it at 4 because it's not really an X-Men film. It's not really a movie I love to rewatch and that I always enjoy watching. It's intentionally very sad and very depressing. So.
Yeah, you didn't leave the theater elated after this.
No, I was very sad.
You left the theater being like, oh fuck. Yeah. Yep. There was a part of me that was expecting I was like, he's gonna pop his fist through the ground, but nope, he's dead. He's dead. Yeah, I mean, that's a shocker. Number 4.
Yeah, sorry.
My number 4 is Deadpool. Lots of fun with this movie. exactly what I wanted from a Deadpool movie. I think it's what everybody wanted from a Deadpool movie. Just a really rollicking, fun time when you watch this movie. Never get tired of it. The jokes always land. No matter how many times you watch it, it's still as funny as shit. And I just love that they went the R-rated route like they should with a Deadpool movie. Ryan Reynolds is perfect as Deadpool. Just a well-rounded, all-around great movie altogether. And like you said, great Valentine's Day movie. All right, number 3.
My number 3 is X2, or as it's also known, X2,
Honestly,
X-Men United.
okay, that's my number 3 too. And honestly, I thought you were going to kill me for having it at number 3 because I thought you were going to have it at number 1.
No, almost. It almost was number 1.
Wait, what's number 1? Oh, I know what number 1 is. I think not Days of Future Past.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
X2 I have at 3.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. I've rarely seen a movie with such a large cast handle having such a large cast so well.
Yeah, and then you also had the story also has to be like, hey, the Brotherhood and the mutants have to team up to take down Stryker and his weird ass son over there. Yeah, like I love seeing that. It's like, whoa, Wolverine and Mystique working together. Like, what's going on here? Are we in the multiverse?
Yeah, it's every scene is well made, it's well handled. Things even like the subplot with Pyro is handled exceptionally well.
It's great.
The Wolverine stuff, like I said, is a better Origins movie than Origins was.
Dude, the raid in the X Mansion.
Yeah, the raid in the X Mansion was freaking amazing. Colossus showing up in a cameo. People are spoiled now. Back then, that was huge. That was like, holy shit, it's Colossus.
Yeah, dude. And then like that whole scene too was just like they had the little blood spurts on Wolverine's claws. It was like, oh.
I like when he stabbed the guy in the foot around the corner.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah,
I just like the gags, like the little girl waking up Siren and just screaming, and that's what alerts everyone. Like,
yeah.
So good. Or the kid blinking and changing the channels.
This is a prime example of going bigger, but also being better.
Alan Cumming as Nightcrawler was phenomenal, and
the opening's awesome.
Opening's awesome. He's phenomenal.
Nightcrawler runs the risk of being that character who's annoying, and
and then Jean Grey's sacrifice at the end is very well done.
It's very.
Although my brother always used to make me laugh because he'd make fun of the moment where Jean's taking control of Professor X's body. So Cyclops is just like up to Patrick Stewart. And he's like, Jean, don't do this. And Patrick Stewart's just like, come on.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Don't say that. Don't say she's gone. Don't say that. James Marsden, I love you.
I love you, man. Where was his Oscar for this? Where was his Oscar? Yeah, X-Men 2 is great. Such a every time I watch it, I'm just like, yeah, I remember watching this when I was a kid. It's awesome. The Lady Deathstrike fight.
Yep, amazing.
Awesome. Yeah.
I also think the whole scene at Bobby's parents' house is probably like the most what X-Men is at the core when he has to tell them that he's a mutant.
Yeah.
And then don't accept have you tried not being a mutant? It's like that was the core of what X-Men is.
Yeah.
It was like, and just the cops showing up, that whole sequence, I'm like, and you see the different shades.
Because who calls the cops? Is it the brother or the dad?
Bobby's brother. So you see how even your own family can turn against you if you're a mutant. You see the cops will try to turn against you. But then you also see the other side where if you're a mutant with these powers, you can go overboard because you think you're superior. When Pyro's just blowing up all the cops and he's enjoying it,
you
see that like
it was like his like descent into the Brotherhood moment.
Yeah, it's like but you understand it. Like you understand that this is a kid who's had to deal with this type of shit his whole life.
Right.
And now he gets a chance to show what he can actually do. And it's awful, but yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah. My number 2 and your number 2, are they the same? Is it Days of Future Past?
No.
What's your number 2? First Class?
X-Men First Class.
Okay. Yeah, mine's Days of Future Past.
Yep.
Yep.
Uh, well, what was your number three?
X-Men.
Yeah, First Class is my number two because, like you said, Alex, we thought this movie was gonna suck.
Yeah. And
I was like, this is gonna suck. I remember seeing the picture of Michael Fassbender on set with the X-Men outfit and then the silver Magneto helmet. And I'm like, this is gonna suck.
that's not Ian McKellen.
Yeah, I'm like, who the hell's this guy? He's gonna suck. And then like I saw the movie and like Matthew Vaughn brought so much style to X-Men. The 60s James Bond retro vibes are like so awesome.
For sure. Yeah.
And like the fact they started the movie at a familiar scene with the concentration camp.
Yeah.
But then you go and see what happens.
Okay. Did they refilm that or was that archive footage?
It's refilmed. The Eric is completely different.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Because I know I know the actual like structure, like the mom and like all that is like essentially the same.
So yeah. They like recreated it very well.
Archive footage.
Yep. But everything, like all the characters, well, really, what it really comes down to for me is they did Xavier and Eric perfectly.
Yeah.
And you can make the criticism, oh, they're best friends, but this movie takes place over the course of like a week or two or months or whatever. Like, which is movies.
I've always kind of looked at it as months, you know.
Yeah. But they do such a good job, and people say this movie would have been even better if it was a full reboot, and the students could have actually been like, the original X-Men, like Cyclops and Jean.
Right. Yeah.
Which maybe because it does feel like these students are like the ones that we didn't use.
X-Men Light.
Yeah, it's like we never used Banshee. Let's throw Banshee in there. Let's throw Havoc in. It's like sure, but like
Havoc. I always thought was Jared Padalecki with blonde hair.
I don't think it matters so much
right.
that the students are those C-listers. Like I think it's more important that they nailed the Professor X and Magneto angle, which they did. Like those scenes are unbelievable.
And something I didn't bring up when I was talking about it before, like you still see the ideologies between Professor X and Magneto clash, but it's but like when they clash though, they can somehow come to a mutual agreement up until the end.
Yeah.
For
Eric, but
because it's like both ways are right. It's just maybe Eric's way is a little bit more violent and kind of gets around a few things that they probably shouldn't do,
Which is what I love about X-Men. It's like Magneto's portrayed as the villain and stuff, but you can absolutely understand why he does what he does.
Right.
Like he's seen the worst of humanity, and he's like, in this movie, he's like, never again. Like I'm gonna stop these people.
Yeah.
Like it's just so good. And I mean, I'm just nervous because Fassbender and McAvoy were so good. Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen were so good. I'm like, how do you cast those two characters that well again? Like, how can you find people that are going to be as good as those two groups?
Guy Courtney!
No.
No, I'm just kidding.
And honestly, to all you people out there that say that Magneto's origin needs to be changed and he should not be a Holocaust survivor, you fail to understand the character. I'm sorry. You can't swap out genocides. You can't.
Right.
The fact he's Jewish is essential.
Right.
His ideology. Like, I don't want to get angry. But you're wrong. What's your number two?
My number two is Days of Future Past.
That's my number one.
Yeah, I love Days of Future Past. It's a phenomenal X-Men movie. It's so packed with plot. So much is going on. It's an X-Men movie, an action movie, superhero movie in general that makes you pay attention, and I just love the implications that this movie tripping up on my words that sets up for like the future, like Wolverine going back into the past. So what does that mean now for like the future of the timeline and all that, which kind of gets muddled with this movie a little bit. But I mean, it's a phenomenal X-Men movie. I mean, after First Class, we knew it was going to be great. Like just mixing the old cast with the younger cast, I thought was a really, really interesting idea. The idea to have Wolverine go back in time instead of what was it, Kitty?
Kitty Page,
Yeah. I I thought was smart. I mean, because this was pretty much Hugh Jackman's final like X-Men movie when you think about it.
That upset a lot of comic people. Was like, oh, it should have been Kitty, but it's like, it's not viable to lead a movie to do a character that most people don't care about. Like
Right.
most general audiences, she's great in the comics, but
Right.
X3 didn't exactly do a lot to endear you to Kitty Pryde.
Exactly.
Like,
Everybody's so attached to Wolverine. It was kind of like
yeah.
a last hurrah for the original cast, and Hugh Jackman as Wolverine in a like straightforward X-Men movie.
Yeah. Do they always make sense in this movie? No. Like, do they go, oh,
But that's like the point. It's like it's not supposed to.
yeah,
You know?
we're not really going to explain why Professor X is alive. We're not really going to explain how Kitty can suddenly transport people through time. It's like,
Yeah.
who cares?
We're gonna yeah.
They still made Kitty important to the time traveling angle, but they just were like, now she's the vehicle for the time travel.
Right.
It's like, that's fine. I can accept that. I also just remember the feeling of joy I had in this movie when Wolverine goes back to his time and everything's changed. The mansion's there.
Yeah.
Everyone's happy. You see Kelsey Grammer's Beast walk down
Yes.
the hall. I'm like, the only good thing about X3 is here. Yeah.
And then James Marsden's alive.
James Marsden's alive. When he
Scott, like
when they showed Jean, I was like, okay, where's Scott? Where's Scott? And then they showed Scott. I'm like, we've saved the universe.
yeah,
X3
that's the
doesn't
thing.
exist.
That's the thing. This is like another reason this movie is so good is it's like, yeah, fuck you, X-Men: The Last Stand.
Yeah, we're changing everything, especially X3. I'm like, thank you.
yeah, yeah, that's my number 2. I think you know what my number 1 is.
That's Logan.
Oh fuck yeah, it is. Man, just a character study, character drama. I mean, final hurrah for Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, who we all thought was going to suck as Wolverine and ended up playing this character for almost 20 years. The man is a legend. Patrick Stewart, I mean, his last hurrah too until Multiverse of Madness, where he dies again.
He died 3 times.
Yep. Yeah, no, it was what I wanted from a final Wolverine movie. Like that R rating made it all worth it too. Like it's not very action driven. It's more of a drama, which I think you needed to dive into for a final Wolverine movie, and it completely delivered. Yeah. You ever see the black and white version of this movie?
No.
It's actually not bad. I just hate that you can't see the blood.
Yeah, I've just never really been into, like, when do they release black and white
It's
versions?
doom and gloom for sure.
Yeah, like, they did that for The Mist, I remember, and they did that for Zack Snyder's Justice League.
What, the black and white cut?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I remember for Mad Max Fury Road, they didn't do a black and white cut, but they're like the chrome cut.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never really been into it either, but I was like, it came with the Blu-ray, so I was like, I'll check it out, I guess. And I was like, yeah, actually, it wasn't that bad in black and white. So yeah, no, I mean, when the action hits in this movie, though, I love it. It's brutal. It's fucking violent. You know, seeing what's her name, X-23? Is that her name? Yeah. Seeing
Laura.
Yeah. Seeing her just kick ass was amazing. The only thing I wish was changed from this otherwise perfect movie, this is a nitpick, is I wish that younger Wolverine was Sabretooth.
Yeah, I mean, they said they tried to get Sabretooth into this movie because Hugh really liked Liev Schreiber.
Yeah.
And you could totally see that maybe that's the role he would have played, as he would have been, the X-24 type character that's like a reflection of Wolverine.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I don't mind that it's like a clone of Hugh, but
yeah. I also, another thing I really love before we wrap this up, another thing I really love is that it kind of breaks the fourth wall, but it really doesn't. Like, it becomes self-aware in some points where it's like, hey, there's these X-Men comics, like in-universe X-Men comics, and Wolverine's like, that's not what happened. He's like, this shit's fake.
Yeah.
I love all that. Yeah, it's just the stakes, the tone, the filmmaking behind it, and just the writing, like how it's more of a drama, I think just resonated with me a lot. Like it was the perfect send-off for a great character.
I love the subtlety of the movie where they don't up and tell you what happened.
Yeah.
It just says it on the radio briefly. It says, like, there was an instance similar to this where, like, 7 people died at a school,
Right.
and I'm
Right.
like, "Oh, so Xavier accidentally killed the X-Men,"
Yeah.
which is horrifying and tragic.
Yeah. And like he needs like pills for the whole movie to like, control it.
Yeah, that's just very, like I mean, when it comes down to it,
It's
it's
doom
about
and gloom.
it's about a single dad who is trying to take care of his daughter and his aging father
Yeah.
who is now becoming senile.
Yeah.
Like, Professor X becoming senile is like one of the most dangerous things in the world. Like, that's a genius idea.
One of the funniest things about this movie, though, I never thought I would ever hear Professor X say the word "fuck," and it was amazing.
Yeah. I also,
Fuck you, Logan.
I also love just the relationship between Logan and Laura, where she's like saying all these names, like Victor, Raimundo, Raimundo. He's just like, shut the fuck up.
Is that when she punches him in the face?
They're in the car, and he's just like telling him to say,
Wait, you can talk?
yeah, you can talk. After like the whole movie, she's not speaking English. So good.
Yeah. Yeah, it has like moments of levity like that that improve it a lot. Yeah, so that's our X-Men ranking. Pat, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at this Pat guy, and you can follow my YouTube channel Agamotto, AGA Motto, named obviously after the Eye of Agamotto. But yeah, talk about anime, shows, movies, just starting out. So there's only a couple videos, but
Nice.
so far
Great.
it's been well received.
You can find me at my official website, alexmaddenmovies.mystrikingly.com. All my social media links are there: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. All there for you guys to enjoy. The Cinemania World podcast is there as well. And I know we're not talking about this, but I just want to remind Pat, World's Not Enough is better than Tomorrow Never Dies. See you later.
No, it's not. No, it's not.